Put a finger down if you were raped while being under anesthesia at Vixen Plastic Surgery in Miami. Put another finger down if you had to have your uvula removed due to the sexual trauma you experienced in your throat while being under anesthesia. It felt like I was swallowing a chunk of meat and it hurted like hell. And I immediately started crying. You sick sexually assaulted me. I could have died. I could have died. I'm somebody's mom. I'm somebody's friend. I'm somebody's daughter. I'm like, I have a life. I have a family. And you climbed on top of me and sexually assaulted me as if I was trash. You climbed up top of me and did your business as if I was a fucking toilet. I could have died. And nobody cares. And you did this.
She signed up for a Lipo 360. Stomach, waist, back. That's the whole map of that procedure. Everything above the waist and nothing below it. She declined the BBL. She declined the breast lift. She paid for one procedure and one procedure only. She saved her money, drove from North Florida all the way down to Miami, did her pre-ops, brought her wife, and put herself on that table trusting that when she woke up, the only thing on her plate was a compression garment and some soreness. What she actually woke up to was pain in places her surgeon had zero authorization to be near. A stomach surgery did not do that. Something else did, and 4 hours later at Jackson Memorial Hospital, the rape kit confirmed it. She thought that was the worst of it. She had not yet met the Miami Police Department. Her name is Miosha Watts. Online, she goes by Elegance Monroe. Married mum. Student. North Florida girl who actually did her research before booking anything. She found Vixen Plastic Surgery in Miami. The kind of clinic that lives on Instagram, promising you the body you want for a price you can afford. Her surgeon was Dr. Eric Valadares. Board certified, Howard trained, 29 years in practice, active Florida license. On paper, spotless. Now let her tell you what happened off it.
So this is part one, guys, and I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. I myself personally have a lot of questions. I'm just gonna, I did the 2 previous videos. As you guys can see, I don't really post like that. I'm not a big social media girl, but I know what the effects that social media have, and I'm just hoping that some type of justice can be had. When I did the put your finger down video, I just did that as like an attention grabber to like move traffic to my page so I could tell my story. But please, in no way, shape, form, or fashion think this is a game or I take it lightly or anything like that. This is not okay. And I'm just now sharing after 7 months because the Miami Police Department just kept telling me, well, if you do anything, if you say anything, it's going to impede on our investigation. It's going to mess up the investigation. And I believed them like a dummy, like an idiot. I believed them. And I'm just going to, share as many facts as I can. Mind you guys, this happened in September of 2025. This happened in September 2025. Babe, do you mind giving me that phone? This happened September 2025. Actually, it happened September 16th. And also, can you hand me those papers right there? So, and I was notified. I want to make sure I have all the dates right for you guys. I was notified. So September 16th, I had my surgery. That night, after I woke up out of anesthesia, I was in the hospital. Like, I couldn't talk. I couldn't eat. Even drinking water hurt like hell. Like, that's how inflamed my throat was. That's how much damage had occurred to my throat. And then it was, and Detective Diaz had reached out to me October 22nd. I remember because it was October 29th. I remember because it was the Wednesday before Halloween, as you guys can see. I just got my bachelor's degree and I was in class, and that's why I remember the date, because she called me while I was in class. I had to step out of lecture and go to the restroom, and she was like, oh, okay, I'll just call you back. So I'm thinking nothing of it, and she didn't want to tell me while I was in class, because my reaction to anyone's reaction to find out that they had been raped by their plastic surgeon while being unconscious, like, she didn't want me to flip out like that in class. So I called her back after the lecture was over, and that's when she broke the news to me. I flipped out, and she said that we're going to start the investigation. But so September 16th, it was like a lot of ripping and running. Mind you, this is my wife, Jay. I don't know if you want to say hey. That's my wife, Jay. She was with me during the whole getting ready for the surgery and everything. Mind you, they allowed her to come into the building the whole time. You had to go through pre-ops. You had to meet with the surgeon. It's like so many loops and like avenues you have to navigate prior to having surgery. You have to do all this testing, everything. You have to sustain from sex. You can't smoke. It's so much that they have to do to make sure you're healthy enough to have a cosmetic procedure. This is not my first cosmetic procedure. So I was prepared to, do everything. So they let her come into the building, which we thought was so weird, because when they brought me out of the building, after the surgery and they brought me out of the building, they told her she can't come in. And I was still unconscious. I was still under anesthesia. The only reason I woke up a little bit is because how roughly they were handling me to get me downstairs, into the elevator downstairs and into the car. And I vaguely remember being awake for like 2-3 minutes. But prior to my surgery, this is the 15th, September 15th, I had to meet with Dr. Valadares, and I was like one of the last patients. It was a lady, the sweetest person I've ever met. Her name is Miss Tawana, and I can tag her as well. But me and her were the last 2 patients. We ended up becoming friends, and I'm a yapper. I make friends wherever I go. I'm such a girl's girl. I'm such a hippie at heart. I make friends wherever I go. And me and Miss Tawana, being the last people in the waiting room, we ended up chit-chatting and becoming friends. But me and her were the last 2. She was seen before me. I was the last person to go back and be seen. And this is when he makes you get undressed, and he just tells you everything that he's going to do for tomorrow. So I'm talking to him. We go into his office. He tells me to get undressed. So I oblige. I put on the little blue, it's like paper, but it's like, what are they called? The hospital gowns. But it was a short paper made hospital gown. I put that on. I go into his office, and like I said, I was there for Lipo 360 and the breast lift. So I had off my bra because I knew he had to examine my boobs for the breast lift, but I left on my underwear. I wasn't having a BBL. I was having Lipo 360 and in the breast lift. When I got into his office, he noticed I still had on my underwear. He said, those have to come off. I said, excuse me? He said, take off your underwear. And I looked at the nurse behind me, like, I was just looking, I don't know, it's like fight or flight. And so I looked back at her like, I don't know what to do, like, to see if it was okay. And she looked down at the floor like this. She immediately looked down at the floor. She avoided eye contact with me. So I was just like, I'm not having a BBL. And he was like, well, I still need you to take off your underwear. And so I immediately started crying. I started crying and I started shaking, and I'm standing there like this, and I go to remove my underwear, and he was like, wait, he goes like this. He says, wait, you're making me feel like I'm doing something wrong. First red flag, just his choice of words. He was like, you're making me feel like I'm doing something wrong. And I was like, I'm really uncomfortable. I'm married. You get what I'm saying? I'm really uncomfortable. I don't want to expose my vagina to you you're a grown man. Like, I don't want to expose my vagina to you if I don't have to. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you can leave him on, but roll him down. And this is what he made me do, guys. I'm going to stand up to show you guys. So just imagine me. I'm standing in front of this guy. I don't have this on. I don't have on the top. I'm just going to tuck it under my bra. He made me, I'm not going to expose myself to the camera, but he made me pull my underwear down to here. So right before, if I was to open my legs, you guys will see my flower. He made me pull my underwear down to here to show him, like, I guess my hips. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. Having me expose the top half of my vagina, it was completely unnecessary. It did not make sense. So he made me pull down my underwear, and he marked my stomach, and he was looking at my stomach and telling me like how the lipo was going to go and where he was going to take the fat and stuff from. So that happened, and we just talked, and he just made sure he cleared me for the liposuction. When coming to the breast lift, he kept trying to encourage me to get implants. I told him I didn't want any implants, and then he started explaining all the medical and like, I guess, like surgical terminology about getting implants, and we just decided to not move forward with the breast lift because we was like, okay, we're just going to do the lipo 360, and if I decide to get my breast done again after how this surgery goes, I'll come back and do the breast lift, implants, whatever. That was the night before. And he just really made me uncomfortable. And what I noticed, what I took away from that night, is not only how pushy he was and the fact that he made me expose my vagina to him, but also when he went into his phone to take pictures of my body, the before pictures, it was nothing but naked photos of previous women. Nothing but, and I was like, why save these? But he had nothing but a lot of naked photos of previous women that he, I guess, did surgery on. So after the night before, I was cleared for 360 lipo, and we were not going to move forward with the breast. So I get there the day before. I wasn't supposed to have surgery until the afternoon, but they called me and they was like, oh, Miss Watts, you know, he finished up with the lady that was before you. He finished up with her. So if you want to come in sooner, you can. So I was like, okay, no problem. Let's just go ahead and get it over with. I came all the way from North Florida down to Miami just to have the surgery. Let's not prolong it. So we got me dressed. We packed my bag. I did not know that I wasn't going to be able to, they were going to take my phone, get my bag as soon as I got there. I'm not knowing this because, like I said, I had a tummy tuck back in 2023, but I had that done by Dr. Jacobo Verone in Houston, Texas. And it was completely different experience, like completely different. They didn't take my clothes off or make me take my clothes off or do any of that prior to my surgery. He had took pictures of me. I'm getting off topic, but basically the situation with Dr. Verone was completely different, and that kind of put me on edge. But I'm very much a pushover, and I'm very much like timid in a lot of situations, so I didn't say anything, you know. And I sincerely regret not just getting my money back and not saying anything. And I think another thing is you can't get your money back or something like that. Anyone who's ever been to Vixen Plastic Surgery, if you pay, they make you jump through hoops to get your money back, or you waive the thousands of dollars that you pay for your surgery if you don't go through with the surgery. But that's neither here nor there. So the day prior, the day of the surgery they call me in earlier. I get there. He comes in to speak to me. And the pre-consultation was supposed to be like, I want to say 15-30 minutes tops. He sat in there and spoke to me, no exaggeration, for almost 2 hours. He was telling me about how he owns a boat and he goes scuba diving, and how his son is 17 and how he's married. He rarely spoke about his wife, but he did bring her up, I think, like 1 or 2 times in passing, and how his son is 17 and that's his only child. And he just was chit-chatting with me as if we were long lost friends. I thought nothing of it. I think he was trying to make me comfortable with him, giving the tension and the energy between us the day before with him making me expose my vagina by not having any surgery below the waist. So we sat there, we talked. I told him about, I have a 7-year-old. That's my best friend, my whole heart. I told him about my son. I told him about, you know, being in school and, you know, like pursuing the law degree. And I just, you know, I spoke about my wife, and we just talked. And that's when we finally got into him. I had to get fully naked. Now they give you like these, they look like big face masks with the 2 little hook thingies, and one was supposed to go across my breast, and one was like a pair of pennies, like the little surgical pennies, you guys know, like the little cheap like paper pennies. I had to put those on. He made me remove the pennies. He didn't make me remove the bra because we had already established the day prior that I wasn't having any type of breast surgery. We had already established the day prior as well that I wasn't having a BBL or any below the waist surgery. He made me remove the pennies. And I'm so mad at myself because, like, I should have just got out of there, and I didn't. He made, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna try my hardest to get through these videos, but anybody who's ever been a rape victim or a victim of sexual assault, it's like the memory, the hindsight is 2020, and the memory of it is like I'm back there. I'm back in that situation. And I'm so mad at myself because I should have just left. I should have just left. I should have just left. And I did it. And I gotta live with that. I gotta live with that. But he made me take off my panties. He was marking my body, and he was marking where he was going to make the incisions and all of that. And he kept writing on my butt. And he kept writing on my butt, no BBL, and like at first he started making circles and stuff for my butt for incisions. And I told him, I said, I'm not getting the BBL. He was like, oh, right. But what pissed me off is he was just looking through my medical folder prior to picking up the marker and marking on my body then the incisions where he's going to make the incisions. And then he immediately went to my butt after he made me remove my underwear. And so I was like, I'm not getting the BBL. And then he was like, oh, you're right. And he went back to my medical folder. He was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I had so many clients today, so many patients today. You're just doing lipo. And I was like, yeah. He went back to my butt and he wrote on my butt numerous times, no BBL. And I was just like, you're having fun, aren't you? I said something like that, along the lines of that, like, oh, you're having fun. He was like, no, I just gotta let them know that we're not doing the BBL. When you go in to have your surgery, they just gotta know no BBL.
Let's be clear about what you just watched. That was a doctor preparing a woman for a stomach surgery. He made her expose herself for a procedure that had nothing to do with what was below her waist. He touched her butt so many times she lost count of how many times he wrote, no BBL, on a chart he had already read, for a surgery he was already doing. And the nurse standing in that room found something very interesting on the floor rather than look Miosha in the eye. Every single time. These were the red flags, and she still got on that table.
I woke up to them pulling on the straps of my faja, these two little short Hispanic ladies pulling on the straps of my faja and just violently throwing me in a wheelchair and rolling me out the building to my wife. I felt like when I came to, as they were putting me in the wheelchair, I literally immediately started crying because I felt like I had been pushed off the top of a building, and my private areas hurted, excruciating pain in my private areas, which was odd to me because I didn't have any cosmetic surgery below the waist. I didn't have a BBL. I went in there for 360 liposuction in the breast lift, but I ended up just getting a 360 lipo, and nothing was below the waist. And I remember trying to tell the ladies, hey, stop, hold on. I remember trying to articulate that how much pain I was in. I flipped out mentally because I could not speak. And every time I went to speak, it felt like I was going to swallow a piece of my neck. Every time I went to speak, it felt like I was going to swallow a piece of my neck, and I was in excruciating pain. I later found out that that piece of meat that I felt like I kept feeling like I was going to swallow every time I spoke was my uvula, which had been partially detached due to the sexual trauma I experienced in my throat. I had to have my uvula removed. Literally less than 72 hours after going under one surgery, I had to go into another surgery due to the sexual trauma I experienced under that first surgery at Vixen Plastic Surgery. They wrote me out. My wife put me in the car because she didn't know what else to do. She took me back to the Airbnb. 4 hours. It took me 4 hours to fully come out of anesthesia. It took me 4 hours. 4 hours after I came off of anesthesia, I went to Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. I have proof of all of this. Roxy Bolton, the rape center, came over and did a rape kit on me due to the consistency of my injuries. The rape kit came back positive. Miami Police Department took the rape kit from Roxy Bolton Rape Center and refused to let Roxy Bolton Rape Center give me a copy of my rape kit.
At Jackson Memorial that night, the Roxy Bolton Rape Center came to her room. They performed a rape kit because the injuries she came in with were not consistent with the surgery she had just had. Not the throat, not the pelvic pain, none of it lined up with the Lipo 360. That kit came back positive. Biological evidence in places a stomach procedure has no business producing. The Miami Police Department's Special Victims Unit took the case. And right about here is where Miosha's story stops being a medical story and becomes something else entirely.
They kept telling me, oh, don't let the doctor know that you reported him or that you have a positive rape kit, because he can try to leave the country. He can start maneuvering to protect himself if he knows that you know. They told me that in less than 3 days after they told me not to say anything, they went and told my doctor, Dr. Valadares, that he was being investigated for a sexual battery, which shocked me. They kept telling me not to hire an attorney. They kept telling me, all of this is recorded. They kept telling me not to hire an attorney. They kept telling me not to say anything to the doctors. They kept telling me not to say anything to anyone because it could impede on the investigation. Like a dummy, me expecting the justice system to actually get me justice. I followed their instructions. I didn't reach out to anybody. I didn't say anything to the surgeon, all for them to go behind my back and do it themselves. They decided to close out my case, and they told me that I would not be able to get a copy of the investigation file until a month from now. So the end of May or beginning of June, I won't be able to even know what they put in my file, and that's why I'm so happy I documented everything. But I'm bringing awareness to this because I sat around for the better half of 7 months waiting on the Miami Police Department to do their job and to get me justice, and putting my hope in this corrupt justice system and these corrupt cops in the Special Victims Unit at the Miami Police Department. So now I'm coming to TikTok praying that the algorithm do what it needs to do, like that the algorithm gets this to the right people. Please repost this video as many times as you can. Please, like, bring awareness to this. Please, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. If any woman has experienced sexual trauma or sexual assault at the hands of Vixen Plastic Surgery, please connect with me. Please tell me your story. Like, as many people come forward, hopefully we can, like, get justice for not only myself but the girls who came before me and any girl that might come after me, because the fact that you were bold enough to climb on top of me and not use protection while I was under anesthesia, I'm sorry. The fact that you were bold enough to climb on top of me and not use protection, so much to the fact that they found semen in my cervix, and I had to have my uvula removed due to the trauma that happened to my throat, that the doctor said that my airway was so inflamed that it was the size of a shoelace. The fact that you were bold enough to do that to me while I was unconscious lets me know that I'm not the first female that this has happened to, and I won't be the last. So if you guys have anybody out there who has had surgery at Vixen Plastic Surgery and has experienced sexual trauma or anything along them lines, please reach out to me.
Here is what the official record shows. As of right now, the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office declined to file criminal charges against Dr. Eric Valadares. A second forensic exam, run by the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, found no evidence of assault. His attorney called the allegations outrageous and false, and said the accusations left an innocent man irreparably harmed. His Florida medical license is still active, Vixen Plastic Surgery is still open, and Floyd Mayweather is, as far as anyone knows, still a co-owner of that building.
Plastic surgery nowadays is at an all-time high. Females and males. And since I own a gentleman's club, aka strip club, people is always asking me, Floyd, where can I get plastic surgery done? So I thought about it and I came up with an idea. I decided to become an owner and a big boss in the game of plastic surgery. Now I got 3 companies in the Miami area. 305 Plastic Surgery, Vixen Plastic Surgery, and New Life Plastic Surgery.
1 positive kit, 1 negative kit. 7 months of a woman who recorded every call, saved every text, and followed every instruction the police gave her, and still walked away without a copy of her own file. 2 completely contradictory answers from the state of Florida, and a clinic that is still booking appointments. Figure that one out.